I'm Robert Cardoza, and you're watching On the Street. This is the intersection of business and politics. This is where we give you the truth about what's going on. I'm not going to try and give you the one side or the other side. I'm going to just tell you the truth. Sometimes you're going to like it, sometimes you're not, but it will be the truth. And you know what? You can only get that right here on the street, because I'm going to just tell you the way it is. That's just, unfortunately, sometimes you're going to like it, as I said, and sometimes you're not. Right now, though, let's talk about what's in, new legislation, not what's in the news. And new legislation comes right back to Paul Ryan. Now, you know who Paul Ryan is. He ran for vice president of the United States with Mitt Romney. You know, he had that magnificent budget of his that he's been kicking around for a number of years. Well, he's back kicking it around again. No changes, same budget. He wants to put Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid on vouchers. My personal opinion is that's not going to work. It's going to actually raise the cost, and it's going to hurt those people of a retirement age that really need this thing. The one place I do agree with Paul Ryan, and I can't believe I'm saying I agree with him on anything, and that is means testing. Now, I understand that, even though you and I paid into this system and we're entitled, because it's our money, to take back out, there are some people that just don't need it. It doesn't mean anything to them. It comes to mind would be Bill Gates or Ted Turner or any of these big guys, Warren Buffett, that are sitting out there. You know what? They don't really need that Social Security. I'm not even so sure that they actually claim it. They may just leave it there or donate it back. I'm really not certain. But that's what mean testing is all about. I doubt very much that the $30,000 or $40,000 a year that Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid would mean to these guys means anything to them. You take the guys that I was just talking about, they give so much to charity that this is really a non-starter. But you have to think about what Paul Ryan's doing. He's back to this no revenue, only cuts. I got to tell you, everybody says that Obama got his $640 billion in new revenue. Well, he didn't get $640 in new revenue. You have to go back and remember that most of that was from the 2% payroll cut, both on the employer and the employee side. And so when you're thinking about that 2% cut, that cut was reinstituted. It was a discount, a break that was given to us during the recession, during the time that we were hit the hardest to try and put more money in people's pockets and give employers some relief. As we came back to the recovery, or in the recovery, they reinstituted that 2% discount on both sides. They didn't give us new revenue. They just gave us back what we had discounted. It was already there, already in the law, already in the budget. That's not new revenue. On the other hand, let's talk about Simpson Bowles. You've heard me talk about it. You've heard everybody in the news talk about Simpson Bowles. That really is the Bible that everybody's going by. That is the formula for how you get out of this recession and into a good recovery. In a nutshell, what Simpson Bowles says is for every dollar of new revenue, we need to have $3 in cuts in expenses. Now that makes a lot of sense. Well, if you start thinking about what happened in sequestration, and I think we've been led down this path to make that happen, that's just about where we're at right now. With the $85 billion in cuts that are taking place right now, that takes us, with this new revenue, almost within $70 billion of being right on the Simpson-Bowles formula. That almost gives us, for every dollar of new revenue, if you want to call that 2% new revenue, that gives us $3 in cuts. So when that happens, we are on the right road. I'll tell you what I really believe. I really believe that you and I have been led down the cherry path here, set up for the kill. I think the government knows that we couldn't all accept this bitter pill all in one great big dose. And so they've split it up, and that's why we keep having these last-minute, 11th-hour disasters and catastrophes that are taking place. It's because they're letting us have one at a time, and we get so close to it, and we're so relieved when they do the fix, they get away with what they're doing. The truth is, they're going to do what Simpson Bowles said they should do at the beginning. The downside is, when it comes to the military or it comes to entitlements, other than Social Security, Medicare, and the other that they see you have to cut, well, you don't really have to. We've already talked about how you can save that without having any kind of a problem. We've got a 25-year extension on it now. We could extend it another 75 years just by adding just 1.2% for the employee and 1.2% for the employer. Extends Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid another 75 years beyond the 25. That's 100 years from now. And if the whole blame is on baby boomers, now you got to know they're going to be dead 100 years from now, if they're 65 already. So it's not as big a deal as you think. They're doing future planning. They're smart people, not as dumb as I would like to have you believe, but they're doing future planning, and that's what's going on here. But when you get into the Paul Ryan budget, there's other areas that are really, really scary. You've got to be careful about how you treat the people of the United States. And the problem is we have 500 people in Washington, D.C., in the legislature, both the Senate and the House, that are making decisions for 338 million people, and they're making decisions when they're not going to be held on the same rules, the same terms. Everything they're doing is going to affect you and me, but not them. Not going to happen. One of the things that we should have, I don't see it in the Paul Ryan budget, is we need to have a balanced budget amendment for the federal government. States have it. They're required to have it. Why not the federal government? You can't just write checks if there's no money in the bank. And that's just a stupid way to go. If we had a balanced budget amendment, we would be able to have no problems at all and get out of this recession and into a really strong recovery that includes millions of jobs. That's where we really have to be. So think about it. Are they pulling the wool over your eyes? Or do you just have your head stuck in the sand? Because if you look at it, that's exactly what's taking place. Now, you can't let Ryan's budget scare the hell out of you, because the truth is a lot of the stuff that he's asking for is untenable. A lot of the cuts, a lot of the changes, they affect only that top 1%. And that makes no sense at all. We have to help everyone, the people on the bottom, people in the middle, and also the people at the top. And there's ways to do that without killing the country. You know, it's just prudent decisions that we have to make that can easily be done. We've got Paul Ryan on one side. He is the chairman of the Budget Committee for the House, and so he wields an awful lot of exposure and power. But the truth is, you have got to know what the heck is going on. And we aren't in the dire trouble you think we're in. I want to remind you, you're watching On the Street. Coming up next, my good friend Oscar Gonzalez, and we're going to talk about cyber attacks. On the Street is the intersection of business and politics. This is where we take all of the information around the country, put it into a funnel, see what comes out, and do a great analysis for you and give you the honest-to-God truth.